Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Please, take a seat if you have one. I once, several years ago, said, everybody take a seat. It was in the evening, there were about 2,000 people out in a football field, and it was toward the end of the campaign. I said, have a seat. And they all looked at me like, we're standing, all of it. I couldn't see, but anyway, thank you very, very much. Look, it's great to be here in Portsmouth with your Senator, Maggie Hassan, who's been one of my friends for a long, long time, and to talk about investments we're making to modernize this port and create jobs and bring down the cost for families in the region of everyday life. Maggie was a key player in the infrastructure law, and it's making a difference here in New Hampshire, and I might add, around the country. She made the case for high-speed internet everywhere in New Hampshire, and protecting New Hampshire's coastlines from rising sea levels and extreme storms, and for the investments in New Hampshire's roads and bridges, ports and waterways. And Representative Chris Pappas, thank you for a passport into your district. Chris, where are you? There's Chris over here. Well, thanks for the passport, old buddy, into the district. I appreciate it. And he's a member of the committee that got this bill across the finish line. Getting big ideas in an actual bill is hard work, requiring getting into the real nitty-gritty details and without losing the big picture. I agree completely. By the way, kids are allowed to do anything they want when I speak, at all, so don't worry about it. And, but Chris, thank you for all the work you did, and you did a hell of a lot of work to get this done. And always making the economic case for how clean water, access to the internet, rebuilding a bridge, investing in this port matters to your lives, the lives of your families, and quite frankly, to the entire region. And Representative Annie Custer, an old good friend of mine, it's good to see you as well, Annie. Thank you for everything. Annie and I have talked a lot about what we need to do to support New Hampshire's parents and give them just a little bit of breathing room, because sometimes things get tight. And even though she can't be here, I also wanted to recognize Jeannie Shaheen, who is well represented today by her husband, Billy, and the family. Billy, where are you? If I can only have one guy in the foxhole with me, I pick Billy. Good to see you, Billy. And I want to thank, and she's sitting next to us, she doesn't hold any office, but a really good friend of mine. Her mom used to be a significant political figure up here. It's great to see you, kiddo. Thank you for being here. I also want to thank Chris and Maggie and Jean and Annie for all they did to prove that America can do big things when we work together. You know, we can build a better America. We're the only country in the world, I believe, that has come out of every crisis we faced stronger than when we went in. Literally stronger than we went in. That's the history of the journey of this country. And this port is a perfect example. A lot of important things come into these terminals, and particularly this one. From salt to de-ice roads, to 85% of the home heating oil used in this state. And a lot of important things go out of this port as well, like the massive reactor assemblies for nuclear power plants that are manufactured by Westinghouse Electric here in New Hampshire. Recently, this port has been an important link to more construction equipment and materials for a $2.3 billion project that I've authorized in Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. $2.3 billion, but it wouldn't happen without you all and what you've done. Now, I know they say the port's in Maine, but I've always thought it was in New Hampshire. But that's what Billy taught me. And where the Navy's nuclear-powered attack submarines are built as well and are stationed. Look, all in, this port supports over 2,300 jobs. 2,300 jobs adds $275 million to this region's economy. And that's not even counting the more than 6,000 civilian contractors and jobs here over at the Navy Yard. Jobs in Maine, New Hampshire, and all around the region. But this port has even more potential than that. Until recently, the area in the harbor called the Turning Basin was only 800 feet long. and often meant that pilots had to turn around a 765-foot ship in 800 feet. I call that tough parallel parking, man. But seriously. And it meant that, you know, to be safe, some of the ships could only come in or sail out on high tide. They could only sail at night, or when they couldn't sail when there was too much wind. They couldn't, and because they get knocked off course. And here's why it matters. When you keep a ship in dock after the cargo has been delivered, it can cost $90,000 a day when that ship is in port. And those costs get passed on to you, consumers, whatever it happens to be. It also has been a problem for decades. But with an $18 million investment from the Army Corps of Engineers and the help of Maggie and Chris, the port and union labor, we widened that turning basin to 1,200 feet. We got it done. Now, it's easier, faster, and cheaper and safer for ships to get in and out. And the port can welcome larger ships, more cargo, like the massive towers and hubs needed for offshore wind farms. Look, we've also announced an additional $1.7 million investment into dredge, another tricky part of a shipping channel where the sands build up. Without that dredging project, the port might need more restrictions on what ships can and can't pass through this harbor. Instead of turning away business, we're sending a message. This port is open for business and will be for a long time. And we're sending the same message with our investments in roads and bridges here in New Hampshire. Back in November, Maggie, Chris, and Annie were with me when I visited PEMI, the PEMI Bridge in Woodstock, a couple of hours just northwest of here. The bridge opened in 1939. Not a big bridge, but it solved big problems. Local businesses depended on it. School buses crossed it every day. Without the bridge, the trucks on the other side of the river would have to take a 10-mile detour to get around to the other side of the river. Folks, when fires and emergencies, every single mile matters and counts how long it takes to get there. Right now, there are nearly 200 bridges deemed deficient in New Hampshire alone. There's about 315 such bridges in Maine. And many of these are less trafficked bridges that are essential to small towns and rural areas for farmers and small businesses. Let me give you an example. I was just in Pittsburgh not long ago, I guess a little over a month ago. And I got there the morning that one of its bridges collapsed. The bridge was built in 1939, if I'm not mistaken, and had been put on a list of being dangerous. It was about a 12-story drop from the middle of that bridge down to a small creek, and it was but it was a ravine that covered about 300 yards. Had it not been a snow day before, there would have been a lot of school buses on that bridge. A lot of kids would have been killed. I'm not joking. You probably saw it on the front page of every paper in America. Well, guess what? It's happening all over the country. Fortunately, it didn't happen there. Fortunately, there was no one on the bridge. There were 4 vehicles. No one got killed. And you know, when I was doing the Recovery Act in our last administration, Obama-Biden, I was in in Pennsylvania, in western Pennsylvania, a small town. And in the process, I looked at a bridge, and their fire department was on one side of the bridge, and literally from here to that holding tank outside here was the other side. There was a shopping center and a school. Well, guess what? There's fire. You couldn't get across the bridge. You had to go 10 miles to get around, go up over the bridge that could work, and get back down. People dying in that 10 miles of a fire truck getting there in the middle of a fire. This matters. So we're making historic investments in fixing these bridges. This year alone, we're delivering $45 million to fix your bridges here in New Hampshire. This year alone. You know,